Above the Yellow Line live stream on the Toby Christie.com channel. I'm joined by my friends Adam, Lucas, Dom, Joseph, and we're gonna break down all the action that's been happening, or I guess lack of action that's been happening with NASCAR during this off week. There's been a lot of news that's happened. We're getting ready to go back racing at Nashville. We're back with NBC broadcasting things as Fox said goodbye to their half of the broadcast after Sonoma. So a lot to talk about, a lot of opinions I'm sure you all want to share as well with all the breaking news that's happened. But folks, how are you all? Dom, Adam, ready to dive in?
Let's go.
Ready to go.
All right. So first off, we're not going to really talk a lot about Sonoma. I feel like we're so far removed from it. Just saying Truex won. Great to see him win. And we haven't updated point standings here that I'm mad about, but it happened.
Gee, I wonder who picked Truex to win.
I wonder who picked Truex to win. Of course. Dom picks the winner yet again. And I will say Toyota right now, correct me, Dom, if this is wrong, but it leading the point standings in 10 different, what is this? How many series?
10 different racing series across the globe. Toyota drivers are the points leaders.
Which is very impressive. And I think Dom has picked Toyota drivers to win this whole season. So.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to report I did not finish last at Sonoma, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, Adam's catching up.
Making steady gains.
Gains.
Slow and steady. Just get to the postseason.
Yeah, because then we'll reset the points and then it's like nothing mattered. But we still have our playoff points intact. That's what the little checkered flags are next to our name, and Dom is racking them up. I think he has 2 true race winning picks that he has picked. I only have 1, but I'm only behind 19 points, which is not bad. I was behind 9 points last week, so could be better, could be worse. So those are our point standings. Like we said, Adam's making up ground, and then Rob actually overtook Ben on points this past week. So that's a development here with our crew.
He's on the podium now.
He's on the podium. So exciting.
I'm looking to take Brandon's spot this weekend.
I think it might happen.
I'm going to give a bold prediction and say I move up to 5th.
Are you locking in that prediction this weekend?
Locking it in. Hammer it down.
So we'll lock it in. We also have, if you guys don't know, if I haven't shared this yet, we have like a note in our iCloud or something like that with predictions through this whole season that we've just been adding on to as things have gone on in 2023. So we'll, at the end of the season, we'll take a look at that, see if our predictions were right. So far, I think we've actually done decently well. So let's dive into some news. I feel like it's time to kind of go through everything that's happened these past 2 weeks. One thing I wanted to start off with is kind of soft news. I think it's kind of fun, though. A new NASCAR game is going to be coming out later this year. There's a date that's unknown, just said later this year. It's called NASCAR Arcade Rush. The 3 of us here love the NASCAR games. Dom and Adam have been playing the games much longer than I have. So the prospect of a new NASCAR game, I'll start with Dom. How do you feel about that? Are you excited about this one?
For people that aren't in for the true racing game, can we compare it to iRacing or something like that? This is just fun. It's like I'm gonna compare it to Mario Kart just because it's the closest comparison I can think of, but it's something to do for fun, and it's another interesting way and a fun way to get people interested in the sport. So I think that's the one big positive out of this.
And Adam, how do you feel about this?
I definitely share those same thoughts that this is definitely geared towards the younger, newer crowd, and with having the Mario movie that just came out, I think it's going to pull a lot of younger viewers to wanting to play this game. For me personally, if we could get NASCAR Thunder 2004 or something like the Total Team Control back,
yes,
that would be the ideal dream game. But for now, it's okay.
I think it's good. I saw a lot of comments, and I would agree with this. It reminded me a little bit of Unleashed or of Rumble.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Yes.
Just like it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I would say Unleashed is probably one of my favorite games. I know it's not like the true racing game that we have with Thunder or like the Heat games, but for me,
it's a fun game.
It's just a fun game. And for more information on the game as well, it's going to be available on major consoles from Xbox to PlayStation and PC via Steam. It's going to feature iconic race tracks, a Race Your Way feature that you can choose from literally an array of different cars from NASCAR 75 years that you can model up, model down, whatever you want, and different racing modes, a career mode, which I'm still not totally clear on what that's going to look like yet. It kind of reminds me of NASCAR kart racers. Maybe that's how it'll look for the Wii, which was also kind of a fun game. There's going to be like a quick race, time attack, a whole bunch of other features. So I think it'll be a fun game. I know some fans are divisive on it just because there's a certain game that we all kind of want. We're getting this, but I think it's going to be really exciting. And also, like you all said, a great way to bring in the younger fans. I want to go to our comments. Oh, Adam.
There actually NASCAR Heat 5 has.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it has the updated patch. Apparently, it drops at midnight.
Oh, tonight?
I think it's either midnight tonight or it might be available. Yeah, they have. Let's see.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
It's come. I know that, like, I saw something on Twitter yesterday or last evening. It was like, yeah, it's going to be available for, I think, PC and the updated platforms, Xbox One and PS4. So we'll be able to play the 2022 cars in 2023. But hey, wow, it's a little bit of an improvement for some of us that like more of a traditional experience rather than the art. Yeah, still not iRacing, but it'll do in a pinch.
Oh yeah. Now I'm excited for this update. I think it'll be good. I totally forgot that was today.
Matt Deason says it has come out today.
Perfect.
But it may or may not has a bug in it. Oh dear.
He says it has a bug in it though. They're fixing it now and should be fixed by tomorrow. Perfect.
Good. I will wait to download it till tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Deason.
Thank you.
My man.
Also saying hello to some friends in the chat. Thank you all for joining us from Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. John Jensen, very good to see you in the chat. Of course, we have Matt. NASCAR Taco Bell Cup Series. It's been a bit, but we are so glad to have you back in the comments. Moving to a Wednesday night, just because it's still the off week. Why not? Why not Wednesday night? So good to have you in the chat. Figure the Four. Good to see you in here as well. And Nicholas, you said game looks promising. As Dom said, it's about fun. Pretty much a new Unleashed kart racing or Rumble. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's go into. I'm going to kind of go out of order here with the news, but SHR has had a lot of changes. Obviously, some big news announced today with Josh Berry. We've known this for a bit, but it was finally confirmed today that he is going to be racing in the 4. They also announced changes to the crew chief lineup, but let's start with the Josh Berry news since I kind of started with that. Josh Berry confirmed to be in the 4 next year. As we know right now, there's not any sponsorship for that car. They're open to sponsors, said Tony Stewart during the press conference today. So that'll be interesting to follow. But what do we think about a driver without funding, I guess right now, going up to the Cup Series on sheer merit, talent, hard work? How is that to see in an age where I feel like the sport is so focused on funding as opposed to talent?
I really am excited and happy to see someone who has literally gone from the bottom and now he's rewarded to go to the top on pure talent and having really, really good connections. He was Dale Jr.'s golden boy for the past 10 years. He made his first Xfinity start. It's like 8 or 10 years ago now.
2016, I believe.
2016, yeah. So yeah, it's hard to think that he's actually had a name in NASCAR, like the top level, since 2016, even though those first couple starts were just kind of to be there. But this is a big win for any true driver, young kid out there that is just trying to make it as a living out a dream, basically just living out a dream. And here we are. He's going to be in the big boy seat for 2024.
Yeah. I think too, when it comes to guys moving up to Cup, I always thought it should be guys that are just coming out as the Xfinity Series champion or a former Xfinity Series champion or truck champion, someone that's got a champion resume or has multiple wins to their credit. That's why, even though he didn't win the championship, I was perfectly okay with Chase Briscoe moving up to Cup in 2021 because he racked up 9 wins in one season. It's like anybody should get that ride going in. That's why Christopher Bell got his ride. That's why Eric Jones got his ride, because they couldn't lose in their series. Right now, Josh Berry has proven if you give him a good race car, especially if you go back to Charlotte last year. If you give him a good race car,
Yeah.
he's going to spank the field.
Yes.
He knows how to handle his stuff, and also not many guys get auditions. And Josh Berry got some auditions in the best equipment on the racetrack right now in Hendrick Motorsports. Got to drive the Napa 9, got to drive the Ally 48, and held his own in both of those cars. Richmond probably won him the 4 car.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
that's all the successes aside at Junior Motorsports. The Richmond race won him the 4 car. Now, he's definitely got stuff to clean up.
Mhm.
He has been pretty rough in Xfinity this year not in terms of not winning races, in terms of contact with his teammates.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to wreck somebody, it's another thing to have issues with your own teammates. So that's stuff that he's got to clean up, and I'm sure he will, because
Mhm.
it's a long season, and you can't blame the guy for coming sprinting out of the stables wanting to win, and people were in his way, teammate or no teammate. It's going to happen. That's what the Xfinity Series is for. It's to learn and master your craft so that you can join the Premier Leagues. But I'm thrilled for Josh Berry. The kid deserves it. Again, it's the storybook finish for him. It's a fairy tale, is what I meant to say. It
Yeah.
really is a fairy tale of how he's going up all the way to Cup full time. But sponsorship will be interesting too. That'll be very interesting, because that was the one reason why they couldn't get him in that Xfinity car first. So we'll see.
And I'm sure if anyone follows, any potential sponsor follows Josh's story and just knows the whole organization of Stewart Haas Racing, they said in the press conference so many times that it's built around people that love racing and want to get championships. I mean, that's every race team, but there's something different about Stewart Haas and the grit that they have around them. There's a lot of just late model background in there. I mean, it's just a different feel, and I hope that sponsors will be attracted to that. I think John asked a really interesting question. Basically, how soon do we think Barry is going to be a contender? And to that, I think this year I was like, oh, Kyle Busch, let's wait and see what he can do. Like, he might not be a contender, and that's fine. He's now, like, in my opinion, a good contender for the championship 4, potentially. Kyle Busch is. Like, he's blown the opportunity at RCR out of the water. There's other drivers that move to a new team. They might get one win and then they sink. But I would say Josh Berry, it's going to be a learning curve for him. He's, like Dom said, he's had success in his few runs in the Cup cars for Hendrick Motorsports, but this is now a full schedule. I think he has a chance to be successful. And also just him and the pairing of Ronnie as his crew chief, I think that's going to be really exciting to watch too. And Ronnie's really excited to work with him. The press conference, I think he said something about it being like really cool, but it was the way he said cool as crap, I think was the quote that he said to be able to work with Josh Berry. So I think it's a good pairing there. I feel like he fits the team's vibe, for a lack of a better word. Do we have a sense of how long it'll take for him to be successful, or is it kind of a thing of wait and see?
Go ahead, Adam.
Honestly, at the state of where SHR is right
Yeah.
now, it could be. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be instantaneous. I think it's going to take some time. They have some catching up to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Adam. And it's, again, if you take the 2014 champion, top 10 in race wins all time out of the 4 car, and you're left with a midfield team, that's just the bare bones of it. Chase Briscoe hasn't been doing as well as he could, because he proved last year if you give him good stuff, he can do good things. Eric Almirola and Ryan Preece are kind of doing the expected. But if they can bring him a faster car next year, I think he can do damage. But that'll come down to if they bring him a faster car next year. And the one comparison, like you said, he's only doing part-time this year. And he's doing great, but it's a full schedule next year. And the last couple of years, we watched AJ Allmendinger race part-time. And everyone's like, man, he's got to come back. He's so ready. He's 20th in points right now. Ty Gibbs is out racing him right now in points. So that kind of it doesn't always transition so smoothly. But back to the team itself, Stewart Haas Racing is the most blue collar
Yes.
super team in NASCAR. They are the most blue collar super team in NASCAR.
And I will say too, just to back onto that, reports Eric Almirola, he's not sure if he's returning next year too. So when you have another veteran driver in Eric potentially leaving the team after this year, you're left with kind of a green team to the Cup Series. And that's a little scary, but it lets you build for the future. I also thought it was interesting, thinking it through. Josh Berry's a little older. You're giving him a ride in the Cup Series that has big shoes to fill. Like we talked about earlier, Kevin Harvick, his shoes are not easy to fill. I mean, future Hall of Famer, champion, a leader, not only for the drivers at the track, but for the industry as a whole. So it's not necessarily Josh Berry needs to fill those exact shoes. It's that he needs to live up to the expectations of the four, and the team believes in him to do that. So I am excited for him. I think he'll do a great job. I hope he does a great job. The other question that this brings up, though, and I think there's an obvious answer to this, but let's talk about it still, is who goes into the number 8 car for Junior Motorsports, as NASCAR Taco Bell Cup Series has asked us. I have some thoughts about this, but Dom, I'll throw it to you with who you think could be a good contender for that seat.
I mean, the obvious answer would be Hocevar, I think. But man, he kind of proved maybe he doesn't need Xfinity, but that could have just been a one-hit wonder.
Right.
It happens. Some people hit home runs in their debut at bat, but I think it'll be Hocevar, and I think he can bring sponsorship to that team. And if we're being honest with ourselves, Dale Jr. can pull any sponsor he wants.
Oh yeah.
I know he does say, and I believe him, that it is hard to pull sponsorship, especially for a full season. That I don't disagree with at all. But he has the advantage of having that name on the building. That'll help him out a lot. I think it'll be Hocevar.
Adam, are you in the same boat?
I am, and I think I had mentioned this to our group chat a few weeks ago. I think they're just kind of preparing him for what's to come for next year with those the limited schedule Aspire in the Xfinity series for this year.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, that car is either a Hendrick built or a JRM built car anyway. So it's just getting ready. So I think it's going to be Hocevar. There's a lot of other talent, but I think manufacturer wise, like Zane Smith, I think Ford wants to keep him in their camp. So I don't see him bolting from there to go to Junior Motorsports. I think it'll be Hocevar.
I think I'm in the same boat. I think it's Hocevar. We can look at Carson Quapple. We could look at, there's other thoughts in the comments too.
The one thing I'll say, Raj out of the 8. The one thing I will say, if there's any lesson we can take out of Barry going to the 4, it's not all said and done that Hocevar's taking the 8 just because he's a Chevy driver.
Right.
That's true.
Who's to say Zane Smith goes back to Junior Motorsports? He's already raced with that team before.
Right.
So never know.
So it could be something out of left field. I feel like, especially with media today, we feel like we know what's coming, and then an announcement might be made, and we're like, we were totally wrong. So it might not be as obvious as it seems.
I would love to see Carson Quapple come up, but I don't think he's ready to go straight to Xfinity. No. I would love to see him run truck first.
Well, I don't know about that, because I think Josh Berry kind of proved that you don't need to go to truck.
That is true.
Because I think the late model, going from a late model to an Xfinity car, is a little bit easier transition.
True.
So, and that also makes you rethink of the stepping stones that these drivers have to take to get to the Cup Series. So that's a whole other conversation, but it'll be interesting to see who gets that 8 seat. I think Fear the 4 also says something about Haley Deegan, again, talking about it doesn't necessarily need to be Chevy to Chevy. It could be Ford to Chevy.
She seems pretty locked tight to Ford Performance, though.
She seems pretty locked tight. So that's where I would say probably not. It would be interesting, though.
My thing to that is ThorSport left Toyota and switched to Ford.
Yeah.
And Haley just so happened to land at that team. So that kind of just shows you the commitment Ford has to Deegan.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. We don't know when news is coming out, but
what I can't stop laughing about right now is just the fact that we're mentioning Carson Quapple when I remember pulling for his
Travis
dad.
Quapple.
Yeah.
I remember like just
Is
trying
that
to find
wild?
his car and his merchandise at the Penske
Long
Hall.
John Silver's 38. My
Adam.
goodness.
Beautiful car.
No, we go further. The '77 Kodak Dodge.
Oh,
Yes,
heck
that
yeah.
was such
Or
a
the
hard diecast to find in any kind of merchandise.
or the number 6 K&N F-150.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
that
God,
was
yeah.
hot as fuck.
That truck was hot.
That thing, it literally was.
Oh, so we will have to see. It'll be interesting. The sponsor NASCAR Talk About Cup Series. Who do we think will sponsor him next year? That is a great question that I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, that I think that's going to be one where they bring someone new in.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't see transfer. I mean, Mahindra was
Yeah.
brand new to Briscoe, so I think it'll be something new. Or
I hope it's
I
new.
think-
I hope it's a new sponsor that comes into the sport.
Because that's
we always
exciting.
like
we could
seeing
also
new-
see if again this is a reach, but if Almirola retires and they drop the 10 charter, we could see
Mhm.
Smithfield move over to the 4 to sponsor.
That's true.
It's a possibility.
The
Could
more possibilities that are out there about this silly season, like I think before the season even started, I'm like, oh, 2023 to 2024 is not going to be that crazy. Like it'll be calm. I feel like it's going to be anything but calm, silly season wise. I feel like we're going to see a lot of changes. So,
I think Jonathan Bender has a great point about Christian Eckes moving up to Xfinity. I think
oh
is
yeah,
he ready? I think he's almost there. It's just unfortunately the door opened for Hocevar first.
yeah.
Yes,
That's the difference.
But Christian
But
is,
Eckes has turned his career around this year. Moving to the 19 was a blessing in disguise for him.
yeah, and he's doing stuff with that equipment that Derek Kraus wasn't able to do the year prior. So, I mean, he's making a name for himself, which is really refreshing to see.
I'm anxious to see how Corey Heim finishes out this season in the trucks to see
yeah.
the future silly season, not for this current silly season, but to see
because
next,
I was thinking about that. Remember, it wasn't even 3 years ago when we were talking about, man, there's so many opportunities in the Gibbs stable, but they have too many options for too little choices.
Yeah.
Now they have plenty of choices and not enough options.
Nowhere to go. There's
like
nowhere
how
to go.
did they go from one extreme to the other without like a seamless can't
Crazy.
believe it's come to this.
Yeah.
That's why we got another team going to Toyota next year, so we have more available spots.
But again, it's just I just don't know. The TRD crop is not what it used to be.
No, not at all.
Not heavy hitting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a wild, silly season. I do want to talk about a little bit the crew chief changes, just in case you weren't aware of that for SHR. We'll talk about the Chuck E. Cheese thing in a second because I'm actually excited about that with Hendrick Motorsports. My childhood is being revived day by day. But the SHR crew chief swap. Richard Boswell will transfer from crew chiefing Riley Herbst in Xfinity to Briscoe and Cup, taking over for Johnny Klausmeyer. They have a history together. Briscoe and Boswell, they won in Xfinity, 8 races in Xfinity together. And then Klausmeyer, in case you're concerned about that, he's going to stay with SHR. He's just going to be moving to a different role within their vehicle performance group. So there's a change there. There's also a change for Riley Herbst. David Restivo, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is going to be filling in. He was the lead engineer for Eric Almirola since 2022. So he will be moving for Riley Herbst. I don't know if we have anything we want to say about those changes necessarily, other than, Stewart Haas Racing is looking towards the future. They have half a season left to make something happen. Why not change things up? Are we kind of in the same boat?
Yes, sorta. I think the Boswell to Briscoe, I think that's good because they have chemistry and really good chemistry from the past. However, to see how much of that's going to transition from an Xfinity standpoint to a Cup car now, that's going to be the big kicker.
Right.
I hope it benefits him. But for everything else, I mean, we'll see where the cards lay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's just they're really behind the 8 ball right now, so making this switch isn't as catastrophic as it could be. It's not like there's the number 2 team in NASCAR right now making these changes where it would be a blockbuster move. So it just they're picking up the pieces and trying to put together as much of this season as they can.
We only have what 10 more races till the playoffs start.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
wild.
this would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
Crunch time's coming.
And we know at this
if you
point,
want any hope,
yeah,
Yeah.
because
you gotta
Briscoe
show
has to
something.
win.
Yeah.
With his points penalty, the major points
No
penalty,
doubt.
the largest.
Oh yeah,
victory.
Not only does he have to be consistent.
Yeah, and he has to win every single round in the playoffs to advance. He has no hope on points. So, I mean, shot in the dark.
It's a
That's
mountain.
it.
It is a mountain to climb.
It's been done before.
Oh yeah, it's been done before, but we'll have to see. I feel like this has been the Stuart Haas Racing Show. We love him to pieces, but we're going to move on to some different news. We talked about Toyota a little bit. Let's go back there. A big news announced from Joe Gibbs Racing. They sold a minority stake in their team to Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment. They are one of the most talked sports company, I guess, or sports, you know what I'm talking about, in the country right now. They have ownership of the 76ers. It's a major move in my opinion. And also I know that there's concerns with that as this is going to lead to a future buyout. I know Joe Gibbs has made clear that he wants to keep the team in the family. They just are now having a helping hand. This company is going to be taking some control over the marketing side of the team while the daily operations will remain with Joe Gibbs and president. So in the team president. So how do we feel about this type of change? I know that it's a lot to process. It kind of came out of nowhere too. I don't know if you guys. I don't think I was expecting.
2 words for you, Adam. Roush Fenway.
Yeah.
Bingo. I guess this also can confirm Gibbs might be getting a little ownership stake with the Washington Commanders.
Yes.
Yeah. Once that all gets finalized.
Yeah. But I think it's a good move. I don't know if we have any thoughts.
I think for the future, for the longevity of the sport, I think we're going to see a lot more of that with teams. I think there's going to be a lot more of having other minority stakes bought into other teams.
All it is more financial stability.
Yep.
For the organization. So if sponsorship dollars aren't coming in like they normally are, at least you've got that capital in the background.
And we know that there's concerns with the new TV deal, the whole thought process behind the teams aren't happy with how things are, or at least the last we've heard. So it is another way to keep things stable for these teams. You brought up a really good point with that. I will say, in Adam's point, Joe Gibbs Racing will become a limited partner in other teams that HBSE owns, such as the 76ers and the Devils, upon approval of the organizations that they are under. So that'll be interesting too. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. We're seeing bigger names enter NASCAR. It expands their reach as well. So as NASCAR looks to expand, it'll be good.
I think it's, like I said, it's healthy for the sport and the longevity, and it's going to bring in new fans.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh, it's always good to have a plethora of fans.
Exactly.
If we learn something from when Fenway joined Roush, it brings in new sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another big bonus for a Gibbs team that lost one of their best drivers because of sponsors.
So stability, great move. I think if anyone's concerned, I don't think there's a reason to be concerned. I think it's great. So take my opinion for it, sure, but
all it did is kept Joe Gibbs Racing in NASCAR.
Yes. Yeah. Which is so good. And there was news, by the way, we're going to talk about it next week. Believe it or not, we're going to be at Chicago after this race this coming weekend. There's some news about Chicago with the race and drivers that are going to be competing in those series for one-off events. We'll talk about that next week. So we will get to that, but now I'm going to shake things up a little bit. Obviously, we are still kind of in the off week. Mid-season review. I have not necessarily a game, but kind of a game planned for all of us. We're going to talk about these drivers.
C.
C, ma'am. It's always C.
It's always C.
C for Bush.
I have a wheel with these drivers' names on it.
I will take Bush Grand National for 300.
And we're gonna talk about these drivers for probably just maybe 5.
Answer 2004 Reese's Cup Car.
If there's ever a day where, like, if any of you all are like smart enough to come up with like a NASCAR Jeopardy thing and send it my way, we will play it. Just heads up, we will do that 100%.
And we will play with actual money.
we will pull in all of our life savings.
Heck, we might even put some diecast on the line.
Honestly, that might be better than money sometimes. we have an unhealthy obsession with diecast. Anywho,
Dom chose Daytona 500 and he wagered Kyle Busch sweep set.
unhealthy. We all know Dom would probably win that though. He's the encyclopedia. It is ridiculous.
I raise you a Joey Logano Planet Fitness truck.
Honestly, it's a great truck. Great truck. Anywho,
Taylor, didn't you get the 164 of that truck at
I
Charlotte?
did. I had
Right.
to.
Okay, you did get it. All right.
Yeah, because
I
okay,
saw
so,
it. I pointed it out to you. I was like, oh, you should get that.
yeah, I didn't see it at first, and then you pointed it out, and I was like, where? It's such a beautiful truck. I love it so much. I'm also becoming a Joey Logano fan, so now any diecast he has, I want. Do I have? I don't have the one diecast out that Dom you got me. But I need to put it out.
AAA one?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a
In
good
the
one.
next few
Oh,
weeks, I will be
hey.
changing offices, so we will have different scenery behind.
Speaking
And I'll
Speaking
get
of
to
Joey
design more.
Logano cars, I actually picked this up the other day at Walmart.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Very nice. Yeah.
I've stopped that addiction of the authentics purchasing. It's gonna start up again soon. I can feel it.
I
though.
just noticed that Taylor has the vintage Chase Elliott banner behind.
Oh yes. This is
There's
the
a lot
first.
of 24s in my picture and her picture.
My gosh, it's a Sprint Cup poster.
And then Adam has gotten me into like the prospect of looking at posters because he has a ton of awesome posters and flags and things in his background that I'm now wanting to buy. So thanks, Adam, for making me spend my money.
The inaugural NASCAR Next to All-Star Challenge.
That's amazing. Oh yeah, John. I'll take last lap passes for 1,000. Uh-oh.
So we
That's
have a
an unhealthy
wheel.
wager.
Yes, let's
We
go
have
back
a
to the
wheel.
wheel.
We have a wheel.
Let's not reinvent it.
Let's not reinvent it, but we have one. So we're gonna spin the wheel maybe like 5-6 times, whatever driver it lands on. If we want to skip that driver, we can. But we just talking about their season so far. Any predictions in the future? Just we'll have a little like a roundtable chat about how they're doing. Even if you guys want to chime in the comments, feel free to do so. Also, this is a great time to remind you in the top left of your screen, there's a QR code. If you scan that, there's ways to support us and also ways to find our other content. I am pointing the wrong direction. There we go. It's up there. But yeah, chime in. Make sure to share the stream as well. Here we go. All right, let's hope this works because this didn't work earlier for a second. Oh, there's sound. I don't know if you can hear
This
the
is one of
sound.
those wheels that just keeps spinning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect. Perfect? No? Hold on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Christopher Bell. I don't know if you can hear that. That's obnoxious.
All right, another win.
Okay.
Win for the playoffs.
Christopher Bell. He won the championship. We have a winner. So how do we hold on. I have to pause for a second. My grandma is in the chat.
Judy
Hello.
Kitchen has come
Hello.
amongst us.
Thanks for joining the
Grandma
chat. I
Kitchen.
appreciate it. Also, if you don't know, I'm gonna go on a side thing real quick in case you don't know. My grandma, Judy Kitchen, is the one that got me into NASCAR and is basically spun off my career in a sense because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gotten to NASCAR, wouldn't have found my career path. So thanks. I appreciate it. Okay. Tangent over. Sorry, I had to do that. Love you. Okay. So Christopher Bell in the 20 season so far. Thoughts? Anyone want to chime in first?
I'd give it up until Truex started really catching on fire lately. Probably about a A-, maybe B+.
That's fair. Fair.
I give him a B. He went from being like we were saying, he is the face of Toyota right now.
Right.
To where have you been? He kind of he won Bristol Dirt and then tapered off.
Right.
So because man, when he won Bristol Dirt, it was like, yeah, it was an overdue win because of how well he's been doing, but Hendrick's just been better.
Oh yeah.
So that was a huge win for him to just guarantee him a spot in the playoffs. And who knows, they could be sandbagging right now because they're prepping for playoffs. Never know. But I'd give him a B.
I'm holding my A- because he got me my one and only win this year.
That is fair. That is fair. I would give him a B as well. I think, as you guys said, and I actually, the wheel almost stopped on Truex, and I was about to go off on that, but because he's doing great. Up until Truex started really just winning and having great results left and right, I was saying that Bell was probably the best Toyota that we have in the field so far. And he's, like we said, he tapered off. There's some drivers that start off the season really hot and they taper off. There's some drivers that get hot mid-season or started the playoffs and just full force ahead until we reach Phoenix. They're great. So you never know. But I think Bell, it might be just a summer slump that he's gotten himself into, and hopefully can pick it back up as we have 10 races left in the regular season. John said, let's read the comments here. Bell was my championship pick at the start of the season. I'm honestly surprised he only has 1 win so far this season. I would agree with that. I mean, but what we saw with Bell last year, though, was when the pressure was on him, he performed. So it might be a pressure situation. He might have to be
elimination races, 2 wins. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
So we'll have to see. Adam, what is up? Other Adam. Christopher Bell an A-. Thank you, NASCAR Taco Bell. So we have Christopher Bell there. We will spin the wheel again. See what we get.
Make sure you remove him so we don't get him again.
Removing. Got it. Perfect.
Bye-bye.
We did it. We did it. All right.
Can't ring his bell anymore.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. I don't want to do this.
Boy.
I don't want to do this.
I will throw my hat in. All right.
This makes me unwell. I don't like this.
Oh, my gosh.
Uh,
What is there to say that hasn't been said already?
yeah.
It's just like, how do you go from the underdog team that won the Southern 500 to why are you on the racetrack?
Yeah. God, that's depressing but true, and harsh but true.
And
like just knowing that you have 14 championships as your owner,
yeah,
and you give us this, I'm sorry, but you're getting an F.
And the manufacturer gave up on you.
Yes.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my goodness.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, and going from, like we said, not even just the team in general being contenders, but Eric Jones was a contender last year, won a race last year. I mean, I was so excited.
Yep.
Yeah, like I was so excited when he won. Yeah, a contender every week, and now it's just not there. I see we're getting D's for Eric Jones. John has an F in there.
I give him an F.
I would give him an F. And I hate to say it because I am an Eric Jones fan, but it's just the way the cookies have crumbled, for a lack of a better term, for Legacy Motor Club this year. It has not been their year. I want to move on because I'm depressed. So let's move on. We'll move over. All right. Remove. Right. We'll probably do like 3 more, 4 more. Oh, let's not do another. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good one.
I feel good about this one. All right. Chris Buescher, how do we feel about his season so far? RFK, for me, I mean, I guess I'll just start with the organization as a whole. Major step from where they were last year. I know Buescher had a win last year in the playoff rounds, but God, I mean, they're impressing me, and this is where I want the team to be. Obviously, they can always do better, but we're having some consistency. Yeah, not a lot of heartbreak.
Buescher is doing what Eric Jones did last year. He is the silent contender.
Yes.
He's up there every week. He leads laps, and it's just he has not to the same extent, but he's really doing what Kenseth did in that 17. Just kind of hung around most of the race, and then when it came down to the nitty gritty, he's like, "Oh, the 17 has a chance to win this."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say B+ for Buescher right now.
Definitely a solid B for me.
Yeah.
Solid B.
B for Buescher. And there's been times too this season where I thought that he could have won a race. Even, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to Brad Keselowski maybe if the wheel spins in our favor, but there's times where both RFK cars were in contention for a win this year, especially at those super speedways. So we'll have to see. I see B's and C's in the comments. So I think we're pretty on par. I think that's good. We'll remove Buescher. We'll go to another driver in the list. Spinning the wheel.
Hold on, I'll give you some controversy here.
I know. Give me controversy.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
This has been a very much a full-on season for Haley.
All right. I will say I was actually looking at Justin Haley's stats from last year, and I know it's not a full season's worth of stats, but he's on par with his average finishing position. So I guess not as in your face as he was last year. I think last year we were mentioning that it was he was doing some impressive things with the equipment that he had and everything like that. But this year, just not really in the forefront at all. Not making really any big noise. I mean, his team colleague has had a rough time in Cup this year, I will say. So
Yeah,
that's what
I
I
would
got.
say, yeah, it's rather than taking another small step forward, Colic took a small step back this year.
Yeah.
Because they came out of the gates pretty impressive last year, in contention to win Atlanta.
Yeah.
They kept themselves relevant. The Indy win in 21 probably gave them a pretty solid payday to help improve their race cars. But 2022 was really good, and it was going to be tough to replicate for a team of that size and smaller team. Just a small step back this year. I'd say D+, C- for Justin Haley right now.
Mhm.
I'll concur. I'll say C-, but here's what I really think's wrong with Colleague. I hate to say it, but I think they have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They got too many cars on track right now. I think the jump to 2 Cup teams almost instantaneously out of the gate after the win at Indy, that might have been a nail into the side of a potential coffin
You
for
think
any type of progress.
the double-edged sword is holding 2 charters means you're holding on to capital, serious capital. So if you ever you're holding on to something people will pay ridiculous money for. So if you ever want to sell it, you're going to make a lot of money on it. But if you think back to how they turned their Xfinity team into a very impressive program, they started with 1 car. They built their team up with 1 car, and it wasn't until they went to a multi-car program that they started winning. But they built it from scratch on 1 car. You'd think they'd do the same in Cup, but I fully understand getting the charter at the lowest price possible so that you can quadruple your investment.
Basic economics: buy low, sell high.
Absolutely. Yeah.
ATYL at Econ 101.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Stick around for the post live stream show for Adam Lucas's Mad Money.
I'm really hot on Hendrick right now. Bye.
There are so many mini shows that we could create with this group. We just need to do it. But yeah, it's
The
definitely
Jim Cramer with the big button. Bang.
holding on to capital with those charters. And I will say it's impressive what they're doing in Xfinity right now. Really impressed with them. So we will move on. I would give Haley a D+. That seems like it feels right for me to give them that rating. Hate to see it, but gotta do it. All right. We'll do what? I think I said 4 more like 2 drivers ago. So let's do 2 more. Remove. I want more controversy. I mean, that was like a little controversial, but like not incredibly. Oh,
We're
no.
gonna get it.
All right. Well, sure. All right. Eric Almirola. We almost got really controversial, and I was very excited about that. We can still talk about Chase Elliott, but let's talk about Almirola first.
F.
Yeah. Yep.
Should have retired.
Yeah. D-.
Because the comparison is going to be to Truex.
Yep.
Because everyone thought he was leaving too, and look what he's doing.
Yeah. And Almirola announced his retirement last year after last season, or he announced it at the beginning of last season, and then he said, never mind. And then he came back this season, and it's just been nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
We'll see if that Xfinity win at Sonoma really can get any of the creative juices flowing for Cup for the remainder of the season. If it doesn't, it's time to hang up the Hans device.
It's going to do nothing.
It's going to do nothing. I will say it was great to see him win, celebrating with his kids. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It was great to see him win, celebrate with his kids, but I don't think that win's going to carry over to Cup. And again, he's not sure if he's going to continue next season. I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about Eric Almirola this year. I would give him an F as well. I think all of us in the comments. Or Ben, we can give him a Z if we're that low.
He got a zoink.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah, we're all on this. We're all in the same boat. We're good.
Yeah, I'll give him a D-. I have one driver that definitely deserves an F.
Are we? let's.
If we get there, I'll
Yeah.
let you know.
If not, then maybe we still share it. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's-
I
I
got
think that if we don't hit the driver that we really want to talk about, because I'm sure there's like one for each of us, we'll talk about him. Last driver from the wheel, and then we'll kind of go rogue. Oh, I don't wanna.
BJ McLeod.
How about this? For where this team is,
All right.
I will give him
and
the
what they're doing.
participation ribbon.
I will
Yeah.
give him a participation ribbon as well.
I
don't know
don't
if
want to get my head beat in, so I'm gonna abstain from giving a vote.
I also looked at BJ McLeod's stats earlier today, and he's on par with where he was last year. He's driving, he's racing. We love him. We love the guy. Participation ribbon. We'll just move on. We're gonna do one more. I feel like we got to do one more. Sorry, BJ McLeod.
A for attempting.
No. Can we not?
Here, we can go with another one. This is easy.
Yeah.
F.
Sorry, Ty, Dylan. Sorry. We're gonna, yeah. Okay. For real though, last one we're gonna try with the wheel. I'm so sorry. I wanted to be fair, give every driver a chance.
Come on, give me Todd Gilliland.
I know,
Oh, here we go. Oh,
Dom, you have the floor.
oh. Hey, give me
Oh,
Ty
no, we
Gibbs.
don't.
I thought it was Bowman for a
I thought it
second.
was
All
Bowman
right.
as well.
All right, we'll do Ty Gibbs.
And then we'll talk about Bowman. Then probably we have someone else we all want to talk about. But let's start with Ty Gibbs.
A-.
Oh, okay.
For a rookie.
Yeah.
For a rookie to be 19th in points, A-.
Impressive. Yeah.
Looking at him from the team standpoint, B+, and that he hasn't really shown the aggression that he had in Xfinity that he was known for.
All-star race.
He's
I was
definitely.
going to say, I counter that with the one time he's gotten in the lead was the Open, and he cleaned out about 3 people.
Yep.
But it's not a points race, so who really cares?
Sure.
I don't care. He gets a B+ from me.
I would say B+, A-. I don't mean to just keep agreeing, but I think we're all on the same wavelengths. For what he's doing as a rookie in that equipment is really impressive. He had cup starts last year filling in for Kurt Busch. So was able to get his feet wet a little bit with this Gen 7 car. So being able to kind of translate that to his full-time ride now, I think he's doing great for what I think was expected of him and maybe exceeding expectations a little bit, laying low, just keeping his head down, doing the work. So
logging laps.
Logging laps.
Okay, so do we want to talk about Bowman? We'll talk about Bowman.
Dom, you have the floor.
Let's do it. Oh no.
I can't be upset with him being hurt. He was racing, and that's out of his control. That I can't. I have nothing against him for that. That happens.
I'm gonna take a drink.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He shouldn't be a cup driver.
Karina, if you're listening to this or watching this, I do know where Dom lives.
My frustration is he's so he's visibly distant from his teammates.
Yeah.
In terms of speed and pace.
Yep.
And the last couple of years, I know 21, he had a handful of wins, but Larson was better.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott was better. 22 got 1 win. Chase Elliott schooled the field. Kyle Larson was up there in the points. Byron won more than him, and this year it is Larson versus Byron. It's just I never understood how he landed the 88 car to begin with, and I know it's just because he was the replacement, and it was just they stayed loyal to him because he was the sub. But especially going into this year, it's like, man, if anyone deserved that 48 car, it was Noah Gragson.
Yes. And I'm
Yep.
still salty
If
about that.
anyone deserved that 48 car, it was Noah Gragson.
I'm still
Because
mad about that.
Noah, and again, this is no disrespect whatsoever. This is just based on what I've seen on the racetrack.
And even
If
stats too.
if you put both of them in the 48 car, if you put either of them in any car, Noah is going to drive the wheels off of whatever he gets into. He is going to get everything out of that car. You know who else does that? Kyle Larson.
Yep.
And look how successful he is. I mean, Gregson won, I want to say 4 in a row last year in Xfinity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, I know he didn't win the championship, but that's because of the system.
Right.
But I just, and again, yeah, it's so easy to say. I agree. He just needs to win more. That's the answer for everybody. But when, right now, because I've been watching the old NASCAR races, you've got Gordon and Labonte are the cream of the crop. And they're both on the same team. Oh, by the way, Ricky Craven's on that team too. So that's kind of the situation they're in right now. That I'll just leave it at that. And again, it's just my opinion.
I'll add to that with just Hendrick Motorsports in general. Yeah, they're a 4-car team, but usually only 2 or 3 of the cars can perform.
Exactly.
That is historically there, and it's in the stats.
Yep.
When you had Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Terry Labonte, and Joe Nemechek, Jerry Nadeau.
Yeah.
Brian
the rotating
Victor.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 4th Hendrick car is just no bueno.
Yeah. I think if I could say anything to plead Bowman's case, which there's not a lot I can't say because I full-heartedly agree. Now, again, no disrespect, it's just based on stats and what we've seen. He has been more consistent this year, minus the injury. So, and he still was technically, I think, in or just out on points, even with him being out for the few races. So it goes to show that consistency can still get you in, especially when we don't have as many winners right now as we did last year. But you never know. There's still 10 races left. A lot can happen. Also, by the way, Gragson will be back in the car. Speaking of, at Nashville this weekend. So good to see that he's hopefully fully recovered, or obviously they cleared him to be back in the car. So
he just needs to have an uneventful weekend.
Yeah, just needs to get the job done. Finish the race. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're on the lead lap, just finish. That team just needs to log laps. The 42 and 43, as we already stated. Yeah. It's been a oof year.
So, and I will say, Ben, I want to bring up Ben's point here. Craven didn't win a single race, I'm assuming, until he got to the 32. Bowman has 7. So.
And if we want to go that far, look at how we won those races.
Yeah, I was going to say, granted, it's 7 wins. Wins are wins necessarily, but they were all...
No doubt. Wins are wins, but I mean...
a lot of them were last-minute snags.
If we're gonna make that comparison, it's... Yeah, Bowman has 7 wins, but when Larson wins, when Chase wins, they dominate the day.
Even Byron,
Byron has kicked the tail a lot of times.
And I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping, I want to see this season come down to Larson and Byron, not because it's like they are 2 strong drivers, and it's going to be fun to watch. 2 teammates going for the championship is so fun, especially when they're young, talented drivers like that. And I think too, heck, Kyle Busch's comeback story, add that into the mix. There's so many interesting storylines this year that are fighting for a championship. Denny Hamlin still one of the winningest drivers without a championship in the Cup Series. Can he do it finally this year? I know that's the storyline each year, but his chances keep getting slimmer and slimmer. There's so much fun stories this year that I'm excited to see play out, especially with those Hendrick Motorsports teammates. And even, can Chase Elliott win to get himself into the playoffs? Because if he doesn't win in these next 10 races, he's not fighting for a championship, which is major, and it has major impacts not only to him and his team, but even just the sport in general. He's the most popular driver not competing for a championship That's big. So if you just want to follow a team in general, Hendrick Motorsports is probably the one you want to look at this year, especially for a championship.
Yeah.
So were there any other drivers that we wanted to talk about that we did not get to before we kind of preview?
Not to really poo-poo on them, but there is one driver. It's just really annoying at this point. Now that we're in year 2 of his experiment with the Wood brothers, Harrison Burton.
Oh no, I like him a lot, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have I mean, he cost me a win at Phoenix. So there's that. You're already on my naughty list for that. But no, just overall, it's just been a major disappointment.
Yeah.
If we're gonna see another opening for a ride for next year, I would think the Wood Brothers 21 will be open for someone.
Harrison Burton gets a cue. I will say, I'm right there with you, Adam. Yeah. I didn't think he was ready to begin with. And I right there. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
He was not ready.
No.
He was not ready.
Wasn't it another situation with Toyota where too much talent in the pipeline, we have to kick people out of the way? Yeah, there it is.
I will say it is awesome to see Kyle Busch winning again.
Yes, it is refreshing.
And the way he does it, too. I mean, Talladega was Talladega. Man, he smoked him at Auto Club.
Yeah.
And showed how good he was at Gateway and this is the one thing, like, I loved watching Gateway qualifying because it's not all the time where you see someone put down a lap where everyone's head turns. It's like, man, what a lap. And obviously I'm just pulling a number out of thin air. Like, the best is when they say 21-2. That is flying around there. Like that is so cool. Like, and that lap was something. He was on rails at Gateway. And again, that's a testament to the team too, but that's KFB.
KFB showing that RCR equipment is not inferior. It is still good equipment.
Yeah.
And that's been big. And I hate to say it, but Austin Dillon is really, I mean, has he been the best driver at that team for the past 2 seasons at this point? No. So, and that's, I feel like he should be, but you have drivers like Tyler Reddick who showed that RCR can win. They can be in victory lane, outright dominance during races several times. Kyle Busch is now showing, hey, week in, week out, he's a veteran driver, but still right with the team, has now more wins than Austin Dillon's had in the past few years. But very exciting to see them back in victory lane. I will say Kyle Busch for me gets an A+. If I can give any driver that this season, it's Kyle Busch. Maybe an A++ if I can.
It's so weird having to talk about a Kyle Busch comeback.
I know, isn't that odd?
the two just do not go hand in hand.
They don't.
What's so great about this year is it is obviously not as successful as 2008, but it's the same agenda. It's the prove them wrong agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
and I love those storylines.
So fun. Oh, but again, it's like the good thing though is he's got so many years under him now. He's not as brash as he was and as aggressive as he was, but man, he's still getting the W's, and that's all you can ask for.
And he even just seems happier. Like, even just like in interviews with media.
Yeah. It's a different Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
It's like he's actually enjoying.
And plus, you got to think too, it's like now he's at a new team. It's a whole new set of guys. They're winning.
Yeah.
And then during the week, he's with his son working on his race car and watching his son race and helping his son win races, watching his little kid grab a checkered flag. It's like, that's got to be the greatest. That's got to be the greatest thing ever for him.
Yeah.
A definite win-win all around for the KFB team.
Yeah. We are very happy to see Kyle Busch back in victory lane, and then it's seeming like enjoying racing again. And not to say that he never was, but he looks happier. And that to me makes me happy. So we will close out that segment there, and we will go on to preview this race at Nashville to close out the show. So starting with your track facts, driver stats. Let me change things a little bit. There you go, Adam. Hi, how's it going?
All right, Adam, tell us everything you know about Nashville Super Speedway.
Well, it's 1.33 miles in track length. It's going to be a 300 lapper, which equals 399 miles, which is quite close to the 400 advertised distance. Stage 1 will be 90 laps. Stage 2, 95 laps. Stage 3 will be 115 laps to bring it on home to the checkered flag.
On to the next
Taylor,
one.
back to you.
All right. The last driver to win at the track.
Sorry, that was my best Jim Varney impersonation.
I honestly thoroughly enjoyed that, and I feel like Adam, next time we do this segment for Chicago, I'm gonna tap you in for this. We're gonna have to read it all off.
We might have to change it to a Chicago accent then.
We might have to change it. We're gonna change accents each time, but regardless, obviously haven't been to this track that much with the Cup Series. So Larson won 2021, Elliott 2022. We remember in 2021, Elliott was disqualified. They found 5 loose lug nuts on his car. He won stage 1 of that race, I think. Stage 2 fell back to seventh. And then the final stage, he had the tire issue, fell back to 13th. So just not that great. So kind of messed up his stats here, but best average finishes since, I don't get why I put 2020 on there, but that's fine. Since 2021, or when we came back to the track, would be Larson, Chastain, Cindric, Harvick, Bell. A really strong track for the Chevys and the Ford. Toyotas, though, they had strength. It really all came down to a late race caution last year that took the Toyotas out of contention for the win, but otherwise they were cooking with fire and everything else. So with that said, what do we think about, sorry, Adam, what do we think
Adam,
about?
what do you think about this weekend?
Yeah, Adam, what do you think about this
Well,
weekend?
I tell you, it's going to be a heck of a firecracker of a weekend. I think we're in for a heck of a race, y'all. Make sure to reach up there and pull them belts tight and a boogity, 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 hallelujah, amen. Can I get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
Oh, well. Oh God! Well,
I like this track. I'll be honest with
it's
y'all.
fun.
I think it's interesting to see a concrete 1 in a third mile oval on the circuit.
Yeah.
I just like it. I was watching last year's replay on YouTube the other night and it was like, wow, they really had a lot of grooves.
Yeah.
Like throughout the field, it wasn't just stuck at the front in a single file line. It was multi-grooved.
Yeah, I agree. Not to be nostalgic though, but the Busch Grand National cars put on a good old show on this racetrack.
Do you remember back in 2004 when we had the 4 cars that crashed coming off of turn 2 and Michael Waltrip snuck and won a race?
Yeah, that Aaron's Dream Machine number 9.
Oh, it was a dream that day, buddy.
And the Lord said that it was good.
This is also the site of one of the greatest driver invocations.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes.
It happened in Nashville.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Joe Nemechek flipped on the front stretch in 09.
Yes.
At Nashville.
It was the strangest thing, and he drove away.
Yeah, yeah. He drove back to the pits.
Yep.
No, it is a great track. Again, it's one of those places where it reminds me of Richmond in the way of it's a short track that doesn't race like a short track, where this is an intermediate that races like a short track almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a very fun track. It is clearly a Hendrick stranglehold right now, though.
Yep.
So it is Hendrick or bust. It's Hendrick versus the field this weekend, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's how it is. Very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, the preacher that gave the Nashville prayer did it this year at the fairgrounds for the ARCA race. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. Yeah, clearly a Hendrick stranglehold right now, but it'll be a fun one to watch, even just knowing the fan experience that everyone's had there. And NASCAR does a great job. The track does a great job with the events, the folks that they bring in. It seems like a really fun time. I think I'm going to speak too soon maybe, but I think I'm going there next year and I'm really, really excited. So stay tuned next year for that. But no, it'll be a good race. I'm excited for this one. But yeah, clearly watch out for Hendrick Motorsports. Perhaps the Toyotas are able to make up for last year's mistakes on the final few laps and pull out a win. We don't know, but we will see this coming weekend. Well, that has been the Above the All Line live stream on the Toby Christie.com YouTube channel and Facebook page and the ATYL Twitch page. We tried that this time. So excited to have all of you joining us from all these different platforms. Of course, to find us, you can scan the QR code in the top left corner. However, these are also the places to find my content, our content, everyone's content at _TaylorKitchen_ on TikTok and Twitter. We are doing great on TikTok, so make sure to give us a follow there. Above the yellow line on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and Toby Christie.com, of course, on all social media platforms. And we will be back with the normal ATYL full episodes. I don't know what just happened there, but all right. Starting this coming Monday. So we'll be back to recap all the Nashville actions after we took an off week. So thanks for bearing with us as we took some time off to re-energize ourselves for this upcoming rest of the season. So that is all from us here this week. Hopefully you all have a great racing weekend watching all the Nashville action. And we will see you next time to preview Chicago, which will be crazy. We'll talk about all our opinions there, all the news revolving around that. But that has been it from me, Adam, and Dom. Until next time.